Hello. I know this has been a little while since I made a video, but I think it's about time to make one. I want to talk about the general state of affairs. Like, overall, there isn't really anything new that there's lots of commenters has already pointed out multiple times. The Palestinian genocide, the war in Ukraine, all of those things. Like in Canada, the economy is, I was just watching a video saying that the price of groceries has been increasing by 20%, and everyone is going to vote in Pierre Poilievre as the next prime minister. And then last night, the debate between Trump and Biden, which can be summarized as one senile old man versus a lying old man, because Trump basically could not stop lying about everything that he was stating. Just one lie after the other. It is embarrassing. Then there's also Biden, who basically wasn't really able to keep track of his own thoughts. He always, it's not so much about the stuttering. It was more like he will lose in the middle of a sentence of what he was trying to say, and he was not really able to really answer anything that what Trump was trying to tell him, or ask him, or answer any questions. It was just in a very, very, very poor performance, and it is obvious he is not the right candidate to lead the Democrat Party. It is just embarrassing to watch them to try to justify it. And even now, there's a lot of Biden supporters like, yeah, he's just too old, but at least he was trying to be truthful. He just tried to make this twist of, but he's still better than Trump. Yeah, there is some minor change that was better. I'm like, it's incremental change will not solve anything, especially when it comes to climate change. And this is what I really want to discuss today, is climate change. Climate change is going to be the nail in the coffin on capitalism. Capitalism is going to self-destruct. It is not if but when. You can't have a system that is literally based on greed with infinite growth and thinking that everything will be fine. There is, and while crushing the wages of the working class. And by the way, I'm going on a tangent here, but I'm looking at those people who's like, but PP is going to be so much better than Trudeau, and Trudeau's a communist. And if we just get out of the communists out of power, then everything will be fine. and we're just gonna slash taxes and everything will be fine. I'm like, 40 years we had this constant promise of, if we just slashes taxes and deregulation, all of those things, everything will be fine. But everything is more expensive than ever. I wonder why that is. It's like the definition of insanity is just keep repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This trickle-down economic is going to be the death of us. It is so ridiculous that people continually pretend that just deregulation is going to solve everything. You know why the people who advocate for deregulation are the bloody parasite, aka the capitalists? Because they want to pollute the environment. But it's not from the government. It's not the government who's saying those things. So therefore, everything will be fine. It's such a, like, when I look at the propaganda machine, and it is still happening to this very day, and the conservatives are convinced, as long as it's not from the government, except for Israel, because we can definitely trust the Israel government to take on the Palestinian, of course. Oh, by the way, let's talk about Trump use of Palestinian. That's disgusting. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I don't know if I lost track of what I was saying, because there's so many things to discuss, and I've not made a video a long time, so there's been a cramming with so much stuff to discuss. Anyways. The idea that people like Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, Trump, Biden, they're not on the same party. They're not advocating the same policies. It's ridiculous. Like the idea that Trudeau is a communist. I keep asking a conservative, show me a single communist policy that Trudeau has ever done. Can they point it out? No, they can't. Oh, they will try to say, but he's receiving money from China. Like, what was the sum that I seen? It's in a while back. Was it like something like $200,000? $200,000. And you think, and that $200 goes into the Trudeau Foundation, which Trudeau claims he has no part of. And I'm like, okay. You think $200,000 will influence him and anything that is election fraud? Okay. What about, I don't hear anybody conservatives hearing about AIPAC funding billions to the Republicans, or the millions of dollars that the conservatives receive from special interest. Millions of dollars or billions in Canada. Like, I recently read a report where they were discussing how the interest of the Guinean government is all based on what the capitalists want. It's like special interest. It's never about the will of the people. Oh, who would have thought of that? It's always the same story. They always blame about this, like, oh, it's about taxes. This, like, of course, they love talking about either the politics, like, oh, the migrants, or running the economy, like on PEI. The Conservatives' premier is recently passed a bill where the migrants, basically, if you're under 25, they are expelling you from the country. They're losing their residential their visa to work here. Why? Because there's some point system of that's completely arbitrary. Because according to the premier, the migrant is the ones who is ruling the country, the province of state, causing the cost of houses and groceries, all of those things. Because of course we have to blame the immigrants. It's always the immigrants. It's never the price gouging parasites who keeps rising the cost of living while purging the wages. We literally have federal policies that you can read. It's like, we are going to depreciate people's wages because they make too much money. And you think that these kind of policies is not affecting the wages of people? This making these the people cannot afford to live? No, it has to be the migrant. It has to be liberals. It has to be the taxes that has to make us pay so much. Taxes. I'm making a prediction right now. People will get in, cut those taxes, and the price will triple. It's still going to rise. It's still going to make things more expensive because the cost of goods and services is not controlled by the government, but by the parasites. Oh, and by the way, the Conservatives Party is full of landlords. Are they going to make policies that doesn't benefit them? Of course not. They want to have the policies that makes them richer. After all, in their view, we are just little slaves to the capitalists. I recently saw this is a parody account on Facebook. It's Proximus Prime, where he basically go on and he's in a satire account where he would say things like, if we get this specific meme that he made, he just made a satire. He stated basically stating things like, if we get rid of the billionaire, then the economy is going to crash. It's going to make everybody poor, and it's going to make everything's worse. We need their wealth to make things progress. And inevitably, you have people responding saying things like this. You get it. It's like the left-wing idiots will never radicals will never going to get this. It's like trying to teach calculus to a pig. They literally worship these billionaires as if they're some sort of gods. They're not. They're parasites. That's what they are. And you should treat them as such. Elon Musk is not a god. He is a parasite who only any project he has ever made has always been garbage. He always failed any project that he has ever put into. But that's risk of business in order to make profit. Yeah, every single thing that he has ever touched has always flopped. He has never made a successful product. Not a single time. And any product that he's ever made that was quote-unquote successful, he has to buy out from somebody else. He's using money to take credit for this other people's success. But yet, the conservatism ethos will treat him as if he's the smartest man in the world. It is such malarkey. However, that is the world that we live in, where people think that just having wealth means that you are successful somehow, while ignoring how they got that wealth in the first place. We're not living in a meritocracy. No, we are living in a neo-feudal society. One of my favorite economists I like to listen to is Yanis Varoufakis. And he talks about we're living in a techno-feudalism where capitalism seems to be capitalist system exist, and we're just living in finance capital. Where, because capitalism, he will argue, you have to produce goods and services. You have to produce goods. You have to produce capital. But that's not what's happening. They will, and Michael Hudson, another economist I was listening to, really held down that point, where we're really living in a rent economy. Not when we think about rent, we think of usually like an apartment where you're renting. No, that's actually not it. That's not in that kind of sense of rent. The rent that he's referring is basically owning assets, passive incomes. Most of our economy, and a lot of times conservatives talk about, this is a paper money. You can't really tax Elon Musk wealth away because it's just only on paper. Yes, because that's rent. We're not actually living in an economy that is actually producing goods and services. We are using assets to artificially create wealth, to artificially create increasing the price of goods and services while not producing more goods and services. It is an artificial way of increasing goods and services. It is a ridiculous way that we have to live in our society. But of course, that's all the material analysis of how the economy works, because we can't actually understand. We can't actually critique the billionaire. It's like last night I was watching a video of this. This is short and that I found absolutely amazing, where is demonstrating what the kind of success that China has. It's like China is leading on so many technology and innovation for green energy, railroads, development, high-speed rails, that kind of things. And it was article after article after article after article after article after article of saying, look at this achievement that China is doing, But at what cost? It is always, they will say, at what cost of these things are being made? It is always this profit motive driven. It is always, this is what both like the Trudeau and the Biden policies always end up doing. Like, even if they might do some sort of like climate change policy thing, very incremental change that will try to incentivize the development, which is really doing absolutely nothing at all. It's like the incremental change like argument is absolutely nonsense. We know what we have to do now. We just have the people to do it, because why do we have the people will? Because because if we actually have to put the action is needed, it's no longer be profit motive, because the entire state apparatus is all about the profit motive. Unless you have some rich parasite making some sort of money, they will not do that, because it is not profitable, because they have to make profit. That's the entire system. Capitalism is based on exploitation. It is one of those things that is drives me absolutely nuts. And I was listening to Brian Atlantic, the guy from the News Atlas, and he was doing an interview with the Duran. He made a point that I agree with him. The difference between China and the West, they are purpose-driven, and they also need to talk about Russia. They are purpose-driven, not profit-driven. Now, he also tries to say that Elon Musk is also purpose-driven. I'm like, no. That's like, no, he's not. He's wrong on that part. But I do agree that they are very much purpose-driven economies. And this is what Odikuru say, plan economies. That is something that the West fails to understand. Planned economies can work. Doesn't mean that you have to control every aspect. No, of course not. You have to. There needs a balance between negative liberties and positive liberties. There needs a balance. I don't know, it's been a while to talk about that subject, but basically the concept is liberties is granted through collectively. Like my example I kind of like to use is, okay, if I'm sick, my freedom is being limited. Having free healthcare, I'm actually granting freedom to do what I want to do, because I'm healthier to actually live on, and to actually go work. And that's a whole different perspective than a negative liberty, which is like you don't want to interfere in the person's life. Like ability of the person to do whatever they want without restriction. There needs to be a balance of the two. In the West, the negative liberties is what is solely focused on, but it ends up what is happening, because again, it's all about dialectics, materialism. You don't really understand the dynamic. What you really talk about negative liberties is letting the business do whatever they want without consequences. If they want to pollute, they have no problem. Talking about pollution, like in a while back, I was listening to a short of Trudeau yelling at PP, saying like, sure, he's talking about all the tax cuts, how the taxes are ruining. Is like, but he has no plan for green energy. Like my carbon taxes, it is about incentivize the economy towards a green economy. Carbon tax does not work. Like I remember, I was taking one of my economist courses where they had that kind of concept in it. I was like, when I told the math and all those things, the idea behind it. When I saw that, I was like, this makes no sense. Why don't you want to just put a little tax to try to incentivize the economy, to try to the individual behavior to try to change? Again, at that time, I didn't understand the whole hyper individualism. I was not a Marxist at that time. Like I was like, yeah, like I was really not a Marxist. Like I had some inkling of Marxism at that time, because like at that time I took one course in my there was only one course I ever took. It was one or two courses. It was a political science course. It was an entry-level course where they talk about Karl Marx, about the superstructure, about the capital. It's like, oh yeah, that's exactly how the economy works. Instantly, I just that makes total sense. The other way to look at it, yeah, there's some truth in it, but no, the idea of the superstructure, how the capitalist actually controls the economy, that's literally that's how the things work. And I remember writing essays like the overall economy are Marxist at that time, even though I've not read a single word of Marx at that time. I really didn't really understand Marxism at all. Well, it's somewhat. Anyways, nowhere near the same knowledge I have now today. The point is, when I took, the point is that if I was really a Marxist at that time, when I took that course and where they see the little that carbon tax idea, I have immediately realized what they're really trying to do is they try to push the responsibility away from the capitalist onto the individual. They don't want to actually use the power of the state to directly interfere in the economy. They want to try to incite the individual to go towards a specific direction. And thinking a little bit on that, it will be not surprising that kind of thinking is what Trudeau ended up doing, because it's really what the liberal economists will think to do, because in their mind, we cannot interfere in the market since liberals bought into neoliberal ideals. Neoliberalism is one of the most important concepts that anyone needs to understand. And the idea that, like, I've seen arguments people made online a lot, like the suppressed side economics has never truly been implemented. There's more regulation now than ever. What they fail to understand is a market is not separated from politics. And this is something that that it was driving me nuts when I was going to my university degree. I was like, why are we separating economics from politics? Why are we separating those two? It's like, and I was talking to my professors about this. Like, you're correct. We should really like talk about like how the economic policy affects the politics, how the policy affects the economy. And you're right. It's just simply not happening. I don't really know what is happening. It's happening. Looking back now that I'm more aware of the history of the 20th century, of all of those things, it was done by design to promote this neoliberal idea that the economics does not that economy and politics are separate things. One of the fascist economists that loves to spread this idea, and is a conservative hero, Thomas Sowell. He will argue that that government is something known as a government policy should not dictate economic policy, but economic policy should govern government policies. Basically, trying to start the idea that the economy is somehow separate from the politics, and the government should not interfere in the market. This whole idea is why we have a profit-driven economy, not a purpose-driven economy. And I love that that distinction. If you have a purpose-driven economy, then you will have to plan things. Now, do I advocate a complete state control of the economy? No, I don't. And I think at some point I'm going to have to make a video explaining like my vision of what a socialist economy should be. And I'm very much more a market socialist than I'm more like yes, I call myself a Christian anarchist, but I also view like that as a transition. I do it in a transitional way to get the communism, and I strongly believe that the transition period should be a market economy, a socialist market economy, not like China, because I don't really. There's different things I disagree with China, but there are certain things that I do believe in. And I will discuss more into that video at some point. So going back to my original topic. The whole capitalism versus the climate change. And I said originally that's the main thing I want to talk about, and I just went on a long rant about a whole different things. However, it is all connected. Conservatives do not care about climate change. They really don't. They will deny the effect of climate change. And at this point, I'm sorry, but they are completely nuts to deny this. And there needs to have a huge change on it. Here's my point. Oh, right. Now I remember where I was going out with the whole like deregulation and all that. Okay, so here's the thing about the whole deregulation and all of that. It was never about you. It was never about the individual. That's not the deregulation that this talking point they talk about, because what they care is the wealthy elites. The type of deregulation that they will put on is about things like they will want to pollute more. They want to deregulate things that allows the big business to do whatever they want without any consequences. Remember, that is what the capitalist ethos. I normally like to say that conservatives really have these two types of the freedom that they like to advocate. Is the capitalists doing whatever they want without consequences, and the individuals do whatever they want without consequences. But and it is something that I just recently add. But they will use identity politics as a distraction away from economics issues. That in itself is such a devastating way of looking at the world, because if you say identity politics, you don't want to actually solve issues. Like they would say that, like a lot of times, like the family, they would talk about the family unit. We should serve the family unit. Okay, what about the parasite? Oh no, we should not do anything about the parasite. It's always on the individual, always. Which is again going back to the whole climate carbon tax thing in the first place. It's on the individual. And when I took the course that we're talking about the carbon taxes, I didn't understood this aspect of neoliberal. It is so ingrained in our society that people don't realize what it is. This is why the argument that Trudeau is some sort of communist is so ridiculous, or Biden is a communist. It's so ridiculous, Because they're all profit motive. They're not purpose motive. And another way the way I used to explain the difference between China and the West. The West capital controls the state. In China, the state controls capital. That is a huge difference. And if you don't understand this basic concept, you will not understand the whole capitalist system. The whole profit motive. And going back to one article of saying that at what cost. And this also leads as to why we're not doing anything about climate change, because it is at what cost. I don't care at what cost that we have to do these things. We have to do it, period. I don't care if some rich parasite lose some trillions of dollar deal. I don't care. I really don't. Because the lives of people are more important than some rich parasite. Like, I was talking to a person recently about our current state of Canadian affairs, the Canadian healthcare system, and I was like, okay, and he was talking about it like, yeah, there's just a lot of long wait times, all of it, yeah, and I was talking to him and saying, you do realize that in the pandemic, because it's so overwhelming, people actually quit their job. We actually don't have as many healthcare workers than they were before the pre-pandemic, because it was so overwhelming to those healthcare workers. He's like, yeah, you're correct. And then I go on, and he said, then he talks about it, you should privatize the healthcare system. It's like, really? So you think privatizing the healthcare system will solve the problem? Of course. It's like, because it's all the government forward. Yeah. But we just agreed that there's less healthcare workers to take care of the people. Yeah, that's true. Then maybe, and what about the cost of getting the education to get into that field? Then he's just look at me. It's like, huh? It's like, it costs thousands of dollars to get a medical degree or to get a nurse and all that. Don't you think it's not going to limit the amount of people that can have the knowledge, the expertise necessary to get into the field? Because not all people wants to spend that kind of money to get into it. Good point. I never thought of that before. You should yeah, that makes so much sense. Of course, there's less people now. It is so much longer. It makes sense now. What a shocker. How did I get to that to understand? I would just use material analysis. Dialectical material analysis. Explaining the day-to-day life of people. To really explain of what is happening. That's what a Marxist do. We analyze things, what is happening on the ground. there is so much propaganda that exists that people don't understand. They fell right into these traps every single time. We live in a society that people, if you just talk to them, they will understand that Marxism is right. Every single time. But when it start talking the dirty words, like socialism and Marxism, they get so scared. Because they've been propagandized to think that socialism is evil. But what socialism is all about is cooperation with your fellow man, not to be profit motive, but through a purpose driven to get where we need to go. This simple concept, so many people fail to understand. We are screwed with climate change. And going back to the debate between Trudeau and PP, Pierre Poilievre. Trudeau stated that PP has no, he wants to slash the carbon taxes, but he has no plan for climate change. Yeah. It's not a shocker. Because they're a climate denialist. Here's what is going to happen. Trump is going to get elected. Listening after the debate last night, and especially I was listening to another debate where there is on Piers Morgan, and they were talking about what is happening. They're talking about the result of the debate and what their opinions on. And in the middle of the debate, Piers Morgan stated that there's some brand new news where the DNC made a statement that they're keeping Biden despite of what he has done. They're keeping him, and they're making another debate in September. They want the guy to lose. That is the only explanation as to why will someone want to keep him. Every single person who has 2 brain cells knows that Biden is too old. I don't care about his policies at this moment. Just assuming that his policies are good, he's still too old. He does not have the mental capacity, the mental ability to run, to be the president, to run a country. He doesn't have that ability. Trump, and don't get me wrong, Trump is not he's still a very old man. He's still like he's just a liar. A lot of times what he says it makes absolutely no sense. However, he still knows what he wants to do. Joe, not so much. And the whole meme about it, but there's some sort of handler. Yeah, it's like, but technically both parties are the same. And I making the statement of the reason they're keeping Biden on is because they want Biden to lose. They want Trump back. Why do they want him? Well, that, my friends, is Project 2025. The oligarchy, the capitalists, the people who are the true owners of the both Democratic and the Republican parties, they're the same party. Their policies are the same. It doesn't matter who they are. Biden continued many of the Trump's policies under his presidency, including his borders policies. But they are the same party, the same things. The role of the Democratic Party is not to fix the economy, to actually make things actually work. It is to stabilize the economy. That is its role. The Republican Party is to literally destroy it. It's the exact same thing that's going to happen between the Conservative and the Liberal Party. It's basically the same thing that's going to happen. And I even saw some forecasts that the Liberal Party is going to get demolished because of how many seats that the Conservatives is going to get. I know it's not a sensitive story, but like it's the idea is that the Conservatives are going to have a majority. And I can see that happening because people are just too dumb to understand that the Conservative and Liberals are serving they're the same party, same thing, no difference. They're serving the same masters. They were going to be living. They'll be like, oh, the people who's going to destroy the economy is going to make things far worse. Then people will get mad and they're going to get in, the next Liberal Party in. The Liberals try to go to stabilize the economy. Then when things get stabilized, then the Conservative will go back in and destroy it and destroy all of that. Project 2025. This is going to be fun. What the GOP's plan is to basically gut the government. And one of the things that they're planning to do is literally turning into a fascist dictatorship. That's what is going to happen. And I love how people said like the Biden was a dictator. And it was like in one analysis, like, yeah, actually Trump did more executive order than what Biden did. And is by a large margin. But of course, what Biden's doing it, That's good. Biden, not so much. Hypocrisy, of course. Is there going to be more of that stuff? Absolutely. And that's how the next Trump president is going to be, because it's all going to be under the executive order where they're going to gut everything. They will kick out every person that they dislike, and they're going to put in people that they want. If you try to advocate to make some change, no, you're going to be gone. Or things like unnecessary development, like the APA, gone. CDC, gone. All those things that actually try to help the economy grow, yeah, those things are going to get gone. All those departments that actually tries to make things better, gone. It is going to be a gutting of the system that has not been seen for 40 years. And of course, that's a form of shock doctrine, bringing tremendous amount of austerity. Do we actually see a little warning sign what it's going to be look like? Yes, actually we do. Well, the perfect example, Argentina, with under the leadership of Milei. Oh, they're having so much fun time down there. So much fun time. After all, they're going to a tremendous amount of debt. They of course want to get into the dollar. Oh, they want to cut all kinds of austerity. And Miller just said, yeah. Oh, you're suffering. Yeah, that's good. That the market is going to solve the problem. Like you guys. Yeah, like, it's going to solve the problem. Like you don't need those kind of things. If you die off, so be it. So, but what about his rich bodies? Oh, they're doing fine. What about his supporters of Zionism? Oh, definitely supporting the Palestinian genocide. That's totally cool. So much about libertarian ideals of liberty. Oh wait, they're just neoliberals. What a fucking shocker. What about things like actually profit? Oh yeah, no, you guys die off. Oh, the entire economy is under the hands of the landlords? That's great. Yeah. Now, in Argentina, the entire economy is like property is all on the hands of landlords. There's no longer... landlords is in the control of the economy. And they think it's great. People rebelling? Oh, you don't like it? Oh, cool. I'm because of the military budget, so you can crush the protests. So much about freedom of speech. And people are not able to buy groceries. So yes, they're decreasing inflation. By not people able to buy basic food. Oh, they're not even able to buy goods and services. They're literally crashing it. They're literally letting people die. So much about caring about human rights. Libertarian don't care about human rights. They want control. And the point in the lady, just their little pawns to be exploited in order to get the rich richer. And the earth, same thing. We're going to destroy this planet? Yeah, sure. Because profit. Because we need that juicy green. Because profit is so important in our lives. Without profit, how can we function? After all, at what cost? If we actually have to care the environment, at what cost if we actually have to do these things? It's all up to the individual to actually make those things without actually doing anything. That is the whole issue of this whole debate. This is the whole point of this video. We're living in a society that is going downhill. We're watching before our eyes. People are too spread out to actually make any change. In order to truly make any change, we need to do a general strike. Is the people willing to put the livelihood on the line? It's good. It's like that's great to call for general strike. I absolutely agree. We should do it, but the logistics, because people still have to pay rent, food, all of those things. Those things, they have bills to pay. How are they going to provide those things? We have to organize in a way that people can sustain themselves. And people are willing to support each other. But we're too individualized in the West. We don't think to cooperate with your fellow man. We're too spread out. The people who actually want to make the change are too spread out. And people, and if it's trying to organize locally, the people don't care. Because they have bills to pay. I'm going to leave with one final thought. In that debate I was talking about with Piers Morgan and talking about the result of the Joe Biden and Trump debate. One of the person on there is he was from like Value Entertainment, and it's like this is a right-wing podcast, and they're basically Trump supporters. That's what they are. They worship wealth. And one of the main co-hosts was on that podcast, and he was talking about how re-elected Biden, and basically he goes out bashing like Bernie Sanders, social communists, like all of those. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to solve any single solution. If you have your socialist ways, it's not going to do anything. Okay, and what about Trump? He goes on this rant about like how leftists are basically insane. They doesn't know what they're not going to solve any problem, while ignoring is supporting a fucking billionaire. A guy who continually lie and will screw people over to make more money, who is destroying the US, is planning to bring about Project 2025, who's literally going to destroy the US inside and out. But are these people actually going to try to deal with? No, of course not. Because they worship wealth. They think wealth is what makes a person succeed. It's not. Oh, by the way, it's a wealthy, that podcast, they're basically wealthy parasites. They're business owners that are making millions of dollars. So of course they don't like socialists, because we're going to be after your wealth, and we don't care that you think that you can do whatever you want with your money, because you're exploiting from the working class. That's the reality. And we have let this entire system in the last 40 years, letting this profit-driven economy to literally destroy our economic life. Everyone can see it. We are profit-driven. And guess what? Profit don't care about individuals. It is a lie that was instituted by fascists in order to exploit the working class. And the sooner the people realize this, the sooner we can actually do something. However, the chances that for something like that to happen are extremely slim to none. Have a good day.